Just checking the mic. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes,
Me?
it's okay.
Yeah, I just have to put some. Can you please repeat now?
Yeah, testing.
Okay, now it's
Thank
good.
you.
Too loud. You cannot use the room mic? No.
Now it's Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wait at least 5-10 minutes until everyone joins. I'm checking the participant list. From my side, there will be multiple people in the room with me, like Tuomo and Sunat. So let's hope I can hear everyone. And also, please vote on the topics. Put your name and the +1 on the topic if you are interested. But for now, I also counted the thumbs up because I suppose some of the folks used that to upvote. And I started to put the topics in order based on how many +1s and thumbs up they have. So, yeah, please vote.
I honestly think we should start with recap from the previous meetup. It's kind of a meta item.
Yeah, we can. I can move that to the top.
And I don't imply that we're going to discuss each item like for more than a few minutes of, yep, we've done that. No, we haven't done that. Yep, we should still do that. You know, the sort of quick status.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can move it like out from the regular list of items and just put like some divider in between. It's just this won't require then votes. It will be just a recap. Okay, quite a few of participants are arriving. Okay, let me see the participant list. Let me figure out if we have to still wait for some folks. Okay, I think from our side, who can join at the moment is present. Is there anyone who we are waiting for still? I'm asking this from everyone. If you have a colleague or know someone who would like to join but still has not joined. Okay, I think the order also looks fine on the items. Let me check once more. Okay, I can move back this one. This has relatively few. Okay, this at the bottom have nothing. So the last one in the order is the VBM CTL, and then this cloud stuff, proposing the changes. Okay, and the recap. Okay, I think we have our agenda and we have it organized. And I would propose that we start. We have quite a lot of topics to talk about. I would like to check once more. Can you hear me? Okay, is it good? Is the okay? Is the size of the sharing good enough, or should I increase it a little bit?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay.
You can use feed instead of like zooming. You could probably just change 75% to feed the page, and maybe it's going to do the trick.
Where do I have that option?
So 75% is top left cornerish. Yeah,
Oh,
to the right.
This one, you mean?
If you say fit, it probably will just occupy as much as. No, it doesn't. Okay, then sorry.
Okay. Maybe if I put it on 100.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Okay.
It doesn't fit because of comments, probably.
Yeah. And I also have this vertical bar on the side that might be a bit taking up too much space. So I will try to minimize that too. Okay, I think that looks good. Okay, so let's start. So welcome everyone. This is this year's second MetaCube team meetup. And today is the 20th of November. This is our first team meetup. My name is Adam Rosman. I will be the host today. Throughout the meeting, you know me from facilitating the community meetings. Either you have joined those meetings, or you have seen the recordings, or you have heard about those meetings. So we will have basically a similar way of going forward. I will move between the topics. I will announce the upcoming topic and the name of who proposed the topic, and then please feel free to discuss it. If you have a link that you would like to share in between discussions or during discussions, I will try to keep an eye on the chat also. So feel free to send links there. And feel free to call me whenever you need me. If you have a question or you would like to change something in the sharing or otherwise, or you would like to have a break, we can discuss that. Other than that, the meeting is recorded. When you join the meeting, you implicitly accepted that you will be in the recording. So good to know. And this meeting will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. It will be under a different playlist, not the community meeting playlist, but a team meetup playlist. And probably tomorrow I will upload it, but we will see how fast the automation handles that. And then Please don't propose any more agenda topics. Only extend the existing ones, and don't like them anymore. They are already in the final, or don't thumb up them because they are in the final priority order. And we have one that is not in a priority order, and that is the quick status check on the previous meetup items. So, is there any question before we would start? Okay, if there are no questions, then the first topic outside of the priority list is the quick check on the previous year's topics. And this was proposed by Dimitri, but I think we will do this every time when we will have a team meetup going forward in the future. So Dimitri, please go on.
Yep, thank you. Hey, folks. Do you hear me well as well?
Yes.
Yep. I guess I mostly do just calling out people who know things about each of these items. So the first one we have is copy multi-tenancy. I think Leonard, you may have an idea about this one. How did it progress in then?
Yeah, I think it is not progressing much, and that's just because I guess I had other priorities. So the proposal is there, but I have not had time to start working on implementing it actually. And I have not heard that anyone else has picked it up. So unfortunately, a bit stuck at the moment.
Okay, so folks, if anyone can help Leonard, I think I'll be useful to. Next one is BMO API decoupling. I'm very well aware that has not been started, and I don't think we have even had any sort of design proposal for that. Unless anyone has anything, which I don't believe is the case. So host claims. I think it was you, Pierre, right? And I think.
So the proposal has been accepted, but for the implementation, I'm just beginning cleaning up the prototype we had in Canada. So the main issue right now are there are two parts. There's one part that is integrating in the bare metal operator, which is really the definition of host claims, and then there is working with host claim in the provider. When I will look at the provider, probably I will also look at CAPI multi-tenancy because we have exactly the same problem for host claim and for regular bare metal host when accessing remote resources. And so on the first part, I have more or less ported the Canode prototype to the latest version of the bare metal operator. I'm still struggling with the cleanup of conditions generated with those claim association. And I would also like to use it to really have a clean information on how the bare metal operate, the bare metal host is running. Because in fact, the idea behind host claim is that we hide the bare metal host object from the customer. So we need to cleanly push the state of the bare metal host to the host claim. And but for later, I'm also struggling a little with end-to-end test framework. One of the point is maybe the status of hardware data today when well, more or less I have to either do a real inspection or redo them, and think it's not clear if I will always have hardware data, and they are very important in those claim proposal, because that's what the customer see of the resources, no more the bare metal host.
Right, I see. Yeah, feel free to bring these topics one by one to our team meetups, or maybe if you have time today, we can have a one-off topic to discuss this. Although maybe these things are better in writing, so maybe kind of, I think in general, as a general comment, maybe we should get into a pattern of putting our struggles to discussions on GitHub, and then when the struggles are written and maybe dispersed, some people bringing them to the team meetings, kind of do a dual thing, both writing and talking.
I create discussion.
Okay. Is there any other comment for this one? I tried to write as fast as I was able to. So, as I understand, the work is ongoing. I know from Ericsson's side, other than reviewing the proposal, we had no input on this yet. And I also very much support Dimitri's idea that I think a GitHub discussion thread would be nice about this one, and that would be persistent, and then of course feel free to whenever there's something to discuss, just bring it to community meeting. That's of course always an option. Yeah. Anyone else who would like to add anything or ask questions related to the host claim topic? I know it's quite complicated, and only a few of the folks were working on this one or looking into it at all.
Yeah, I'd be curious to help, at least with discussion part, because we are getting growing interest in multi-tenant MetaCube at Red Hat. So that probably will get more priority from us, from Jacob and myself, who is also on this call, in the near future.
Yep, sounds good.
Also, I might help a little bit. I might help a little bit as well, because just before this one, I was going through this, and there was a Slack message regarding the similar interest on that.
Okay, then I will add your name also here, Sunat.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the action point here is make a GitHub discussion. Are you okay creating this, Dimitri?
I think Pierre wanted to create this discussion.
Okay, then Pierre. But feel free to ask me if you are not sure how to make the discussion thread on GitHub, or if you don't have permissions. I don't know what are the permissions related to GitHub discussions.
Okay. I will check with you on Slack if I have trouble with it.
Okay, sure. Okay. Yeah, I think then that's all for host claims. Then next one, the HCP icon.
Who was that? I don't remember. There was a few people interested in the same topic.
Yeah,
this one is a topic we are quite interested. I wonder if that wasn't Steven that did the proposal initially. So we're still interested in that. That proposal probably need to be revised to take into account all the changes into the IPAM related to merging with CAPI IPAM. But otherwise, I think that either Marco or I will try to get some time to rework that proposal. I don't know when we will have time to do that. So if anyone has wants to do that before that, then feel free.
If I remember correctly, the Steve proposal was more or less blocked on what should be the format of the pre-provisioning network data. And because it was hard to decide between Glean and, for example, NM State. And I talked with Steven, but yeah, not time to push it more. We could decide of not choosing and using directly a template with functions, Go template function to inject the IP address and whatever in the template without deciding if we are choosing either NM State or Glean, and that would probably solve the main blocking point in his proposal.
Yeah, that is in sync with what I remember. One thing I would like to add here is that from our side, Peruz is also looking into this format of user data, network data, whatever. So I think everyone feels that that we are too much tied to rendering cloud init or subsequently Glean compatible network config and other configs. And I think I've seen in the community, many of you are implementing solution that can bring in ignition. I've seen that from Red Hat side. I've seen the NM State from SUSE side. So we have to come up in general with the capability to render user, meta, and config data or the equivalent of these for other configuration management tools beyond even this DHCP-less topic. But it's painful for the DHCP-less also, but I think it's even a bigger discussion topic to figure out what to do, how to make it like generic.
It also shouldn't be a huge problem because I agree with Pierre. Essentially, all the formats we're talking about can be parsed as YAML and output as a JSON. So it could be as simple as having a format field somewhere, or even like a completely transparent templating API, which just doesn't care.
Yeah, but my problem with this is, of course, passing it is not a big thing. Like at the end of the day, IPA can digest any, or like Ironic can send to the agent anything as long as it can be sent as a JSON. But my problem is that when it comes to like IPAM integration and integration of services that render some data. Like right now, I don't think we can avoid, like if we have an IPAM and IPAM is allocating IP addresses, then IPAM has to generate that format or that like generic like it cannot generate the generic list of just, I don't know, IP addresses and interfaces and whatnot, because how the tools would digest that. Like that's my problem, is that someone has to put the, like let's say the network config in an understandable format. But the tools like I don't know, like a Cloud Init won't figure it out on its own unless the input data is compatible with its parsers as well as the other tools. They won't either. But then where do we put where do we put the logic that regulates the format? So if you ingesting it with Ignition, then where is the tool that will format the generic information into Ignition digestible? Where is and same way for Cloud Init, Glean, NM state, all these things, because in IPAM case we right now IPAM only handles it on a custom resource level. So it will do the allocation, put it in a custom resource. And then the CAPM3 has the renderer that renders it into, at the end of the day, into a secret that will be then sent over as a JSON. But if we want to make it generic, let's say the like MetaCube or the CAPM3 wouldn't render anything. It would just, what would it send? Like, that's my problem, that I think we have to render this data. We cannot, like, there is no generic, the data doesn't exist in a generic way anywhere. Because yep, go on.
There is not a thousand format for IP addresses, and the important point is when you generate things like that, is keeping a handle so that you generate the address only once. And with a Go template function, it works relatively well, and at least from what I see, it would work for NM state or Cloud Init without a need for changing. Maybe on NetMask you need different functions for having CIDR format or standard NetMask, but besides this, a few functions can do the same thing as a JSON tag in a fixed format.
Okay, I let's say halfway follow what you are saying. Let's not take up more time, or I won't take up more time. I will give time for others to ask. I think we have to. I don't know what would be a good platform for this, but we have to come to the same or arrive to the same conclusions together, because I understand that, like, my problem is not how to render the data. It's like, where should this rendering happen? So but let's discuss this separately. And yeah, GitHub discussion, I think I will start then, Dimitri, because I still feel a bit confused about this, because I still see this topic that we would need different drivers in the CAPM3 to render the different data formats. Or I just don't understand how could we do this in a generic way. But yeah, I will drive this GitHub discussion. And please, anyone else who have other comments, please add your thoughts. I will type until then.
I think the GitHub discussion would be the best place for now, because otherwise it probably would take too long for discussing this in details here. So we probably want to go over the other topics and not take all the time for this first item that is discussing less time topics.
Yep, I agree. Okay, then let's continue. Then the next one is the IRSO high availability.
Yep. So this is a bit in a half-finished state, because we have got HA support even in beta version for the case without the HTTP, so without network boot. Basically, if you want to use virtual media, you can do it right now with Aronix known operator. It's going to deploy things. It's going to handle database upgrades and stuff. Don't think anyone has tested that in production yet. If you have, let me know. The network boot part requires more work, possibly on the Aronix side, because you would have to do something about DNS mask and general the network boot artifacts. And that has not been done by anything, and I'm not going to have cycles to do it in the near future, so that is for someone else so far to take.
For this one, I think that it may also be linked to something that is long discussed now, I think, is the need to split the ironic image, so that maybe we could have another DHCP implementation that would be way easier to have in HA fashion, and same maybe for the TFTP implementation.
Yeah, the ironic community actually started looking at this, how it's called, Kia thingy, but I think it hasn't progressed beyond design discussions. I generally agree. I'm not sure it's technically requires splitting ironic image, even though I do think that splitting ironic image thing is a good thing. It just requires us to agree on some implementation, and there are probably, again, ironic side work to be done.
Yeah, I know there's Kia. I know that there's also. I recently heard that there's another project that is Iron Core, if I remember correctly. It is a project that also does some bare metal provisioning, and I think they have Kubernetes. I would say native DHCP server, so maybe it would be worth a look as well. Like this kind of thing, it probably would need support from Ironic as well, but maybe it would be something that could be interesting to see. Because if I remember correctly, the Kia thing is the API is not in the open source version. So
yeah, there's some closed source problems there, indeed.
What was the name of this tool, Nicholas, you mentioned?
It's part of the Iron Core project.
Iron Core?
I'm just giving a link to the...
Maybe just paste
yes.
it in directly into the document.
Okay.
Yeah, please put it there, and then we will have a record. I have never heard of that. I heard the discussion in the Ironic community about this Kia.
So where it is? Here. They have a full set of components in there, but there's one that handle the HTTP and Pixie, so maybe it's worth taking a look as well.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Okay, anyone else? Any other question related to IRSO high availability or the problems with the layer 2 services? Okay, if nothing, then let's continue. The last one is the ARM support.
I'm not 100% sure where we are. I know a lot of work has been done in this area, and maybe we are multi-arch already. But if anyone has more information, yeah, Nicholas.
Yeah, currently the state for ARM support is it works with virtual media and not with Pixie iPixie. So yeah, there's still work to do on this side, mainly with in the ironic image side to have all the Pixie binaries and configuration to be multi-arch ready. And I didn't check if there's everything for that on the ironic side as well. So maybe there's things really needed here in ironic to get everything working. Basically, things similar to the kernel and initer, the variables that are per architecture, but probably for the Pixie configuration and binaries. So didn't have any time to look into that, but that's the only thing left to have full ARM support, I would say.
I would say it's quite a good progress that it with virtual media it already works, and it's only the Pixie iPixie part.
And we also have the issue that we discussed a bit on Slack about the IPA. So that currently it works with virtual media, but since the Arch, the ARM64 IPA is based on Debian, then it won't work if you have secure boot enabled, because the ironic image has the shim and the keys for secure boot only for the CentOS based image. So
Yeah.
it doesn't work with the IPA we have as default one. But that's probably something we may discuss in the IPA distribution topic.
Yes, but I would just like to add that there is also the custom builder. So in the utility repository, we have the custom builder, and that one it might be easier to change that one to Debian compared to changing the ironic image, but we will, I guess, discuss this.
Let's say Pixie builder, has nothing to do with all this, really.
Yeah, okay, but I'm just thinking. Okay, yeah. Then,
I think just jumping a bit ahead, Nikos had a good idea that the shim and grep images should optionally come from API downloader and not from ironic image. But yeah, we can debate. I think it's a solid idea. Just handle the transition gracefully, and then we're probably good.
okay.
It feels like we're at the end of past items. We have some follow-ups, which is pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Looks pretty good. I think we have, or the community, we all have progressed with almost everything to a certain extent. So yeah, but almost everything is also on the table that we plan to do at the beginning of this year. So I guess the work will just continue as fast as we can work on this thing. So I think we can continue with the future items or the items looking into the future. I might have been some issue with the likes. There is one that's got only one.
I think actually this one had 6, but when I was clicking the like, I clicked accept and all
Okay.
the likes disappeared. But this one had
Okay,
actually
so
the highest.
this was the 6. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
then we can continue with this one. So this is the IRSO adoption 0 configuration installation of BMO. That's from you, Dimitri.
Yeah, I'm kind of lumping 2 topics here, but for the second half of it, I really just want to get maybe buy-in from the community on the idea of I really want BMO to be installable from a single manifest from GitHub, like we recently done with IRSO itself. And then people customize, then people get some minimum working version and they can customize it later. So recently, BMO have got support for integrating with IRSO. Just receive ironic name equals, for example, ironic, and then it will look for this IRSO object called ironic and take all the information about, well, ironic from it. There's a lot of ironics in this sentence. Leonard had found we fixed a pretty bad bug about it, so right now it seems to be working well. So my idea is that this published release of BMO defaults to looking for this ironic called ironic in the same namespace. And then the operator can, that provides for a pretty cool quick start because our quick start guide will then show, okay, you create a resource called ironic, then you install BMO and it magically just gets your ironic, gets all the information from your ironic resource, TLS, credentials, endpoint, of course, everything you need. Then the operator can customize it using the config map or maybe change something else, but I think it's a path forward for this simple zero conf installation of BMO. So what do you folks think?
I don't have anything against it, but I think the details will appear when you start implementing this. I don't really foresee this how this will affect I don't know, like operations or whatnot, but I have nothing against it.
I think we need to have some sort of a documentation or the user guides. There were a couple of adapters that came during the KubeCon boot hours, and they were asking about how to adapt IRSO in production. And perhaps for them, we need to at least have some sort of a user guide. This probably will go towards that.
Okay, I will add your comments here for sure.
Yeah, we actually have the docs. I think what we need is updated quick start guide, which Leonard is working on.
Yeah, and I already am trying to use IRSO and exactly this integration with BMO there, even though it's not in a release, but I didn't want to write the old way. So big +1 from me.
Right, it's great that you're testing it before we do the next release because then we have time to fix all the bugs. The next release will be probably within a couple of weeks, something like that. And if we catch all the bugs by that time, we can write a nice quick start that just relies on this new release.
Good. Then I think you have your buy-in. I think no one has an issue.
I actually have one question. Is the idea so that there would be some defaultings of ironic that the BMO is expected to read from the ironic CRD or CR? Is that the plan?
Yes, the plan is I think we have our default RBAC configuration for that. Then yes, BMO will be reading from the ironic resource.
Yeah,
If you want technical details, it basically reads them on reconciliation when it needs to create the ironic client. You can check my patch for what it does exactly.
okay. I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking, I'm not against, I'm just thinking that, so let's say we do some default installation. So the user comes and installs the ironic, like in the operator way. And then with without any custom configurations, BMO is deployed, and BMO is expected to read ironic related configurations from the ironic operator object CR. And then later on, if I want to modify the BMO configuration, the BMO operator itself, what would be the interface for that? Are you going to create another CR for the BMO's own configuration? How will I think it's not even possible today. Like there's a script, I guess, so you need to modify the script, redeploy the BMO.
No. There's a config map. Actually, both operators, IRSO and BMO, had a config map. And you're raising a very good point, because a config map is not a perfect configuration solution, but it exists, and I think that's I think Leonard is going to mention it in a quick start guide. Both operators have a config map that has the environment variables. And for example, this ironic name equals ironic will come in the default config map for BMO. And if you don't like it, you modify it to another ironic name or to direct ironic endpoint or add any options. That was my idea about this.
Because usually if we're talking about Kubernetes operators, there's a CR, like the way that I think Red Hat, you guys do a lot of operator-based installations.
Yes.
But for the BMO, there is no CR, even though it's called operator, but it's a controller, but it's not a Kubernetes operator. So I was thinking, are you planning to make it like an actual Kubernetes operator that will have its own interface, like the CR, that people can go like in the OpenShift, for example? It would be, for example, I think easy to tune the configurations of the BMO through the CR rather than doing it through some config maps. But I don't know, maybe that could be discussed later, but I'm just thinking out.
Yeah, I like your idea. I think it's a bit tangential to what we discuss here, because that aspect is not changed between old way to install and new way to install. You still basically modify config map, which is suboptimal. I agree. It's kind of a good idea. I don't have plans to do that simply because I don't have infinite time.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, so one benefit of, like, if I want to deploy the BMO right now, I have to install, let's say, with the customize. So I do kubectl apply related files. But if I have the operator, one benefit I would get is that it's a single point for configuring the whole bare metal operator, instead of me doing some variable substitution or parameterization and other stuff.
Right, but you now have to configure the operator that configures the operator. It's an infinite chicken and egg problem.
But is the BMO actually right now operator? It's a controller, right? It's not an operator. So we don't have...
it's Kubernetes application, right? It has to be configured. So now you have another one you have to install and configure some way.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
And my goal here is to make BMO installable without all this customized stuff, potentially, if you don't want it, because we're going to provide a YAML file on GitHub, which you kubectl apply. And that gives you the default installation of the corresponding version of BMO.
Yeah.
And that's already a huge improvement, I think, for that experience.
It is. But I think I agree. Like you said, my point is probably not directly related to that, to this point, but it's maybe follow up, like making it easier to tune the parameters of the BMO. So it's a little bit out of the scope of this exact point. So
yeah, sure. And on the OpenShift example, keep in mind that OpenShift has built-in operators, which simplify something. So when you our operator that installs BMO is built into OpenShift, so you don't have to install it. Which is how we solve the chicken and egg problem. I don't think it's the case in upstream Kubernetes, but that's just a remark about OpenShift. Don't even need to put it in the agenda. It's just for your understanding.
Yeah. And I mean, one direct benefit that I can see for using the operator on top of BMO is just this lifecycle management. If I want to do the upgrade, I don't have to go through a whole cycle of deleting the objects. I just do the object upgrade, like CR, for example, for the control, like the operator, and that will take care of upgrading the BMO version, for example. But there are some nuances. I agree. So.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Just one quick question. With that one manifest, do you expect also to have like all the CRDs in that manifest, or we expect this to be still a two-step, like first step, install the CRDs using that manifest, and then install BMO using that other manifest?
So IRSA does one manifest. I kind of think it has some limitations. That's why people do two manifests, but I haven't put a lot of thought in that. So I was just thinking one manifest, but if somebody explains me why it's problematic, we can do two manifests.
My, I would say, gut instinct here is that it's the same issue you have with CRD in Helm, is that you always have the issues when you go into an upgrade process or a delete process that it may fail because there are CRs that are instantiated so that it blocks the deletion, or that it fails the upgrade because there's a chicken egg problem between your controller and the existing CRs or things like that. So that's usually why you want, for upgrade processes or delete processes, that you want to have the CRs separated. But I don't know if that's all too relevant to this specific case, but yeah, that's the usual issue with handling CRDs.
Yeah, we can do two separate manifests for BMO. It's not a problem for me. I just really haven't thought about it for IRSA. Maybe we split them as well at some point. Yeah, good point. It shouldn't be really hard to just generate two things differently.
And another quick comment, you in the topic here, you were talking about, is there anything blocking ESO adoption in community? I would just say that for now, at SUSE, we didn't yet looked into ESO, just because we didn't yet see the value of it instead of the hand chart. Like, it's currently quite static, but things like HA and more, I would say, easier configuration could be something that make it more valuable and may make us do the switch as well.
Yeah, let us know if you face any blockers if you decide to do that.
Yeah, that's something I didn't have time to look into yet, but the more I see features getting into it, the more I would get interested into looking in. So I'll probably try to look into it sooner than later, because I don't want to get too far away from what is the, I would say, official way of deploying Ironic there. So.
Sounds good. Anyone else? Okay, I think we can go on to the next topic. And this is building and delivering IP.
It's me again, right?
Yep.
So there are three questions here. The third one just added based on previous discussion. In first one, I kind of touched upon it already in previous meeting, but they're both OpenDev.org, which are our default location for IPA images. Like whole images is not really a CDN. We learned the hard way in our CI, which is like it may take ages to download anything from that. So my idea was, since Ironic has gained some ability to download things from OCI artifacts, and I know we talked about with Nicholas that it has some limitations. I fixed some of them. I can fix more of them. But generally, I still think it's a good idea to simply replace that without discussing bootc and other stuff for now, for putting all our artifacts under key.io/metalcube.io and use key as really our only CDN for all of the binary artifacts that Metalcube uses or produces, which is post-container images and RAM disk images. Any thoughts on that part?
Yeah, I have some. So the pipeline, we already have a pipeline that builds it. In the past, it was uploading. Nowadays, it's not. But we, for more than a year now, are building it. It's on the Nordics Jenkins. It's available for everyone to see. And we also have used it for testing, not just periodic, but for periodically. We build it, I think, every day. I support the idea to push it up into Quay, because I think out of all the CDNs, as you mentioned, Quay is the most stable and like most purpose built, because the Nordics or Open Infra Europe Artifactory can be a short-term backup, because we can store their images for a certain period of time, but I am 95% sure that actual like internet traffic, like if every community member, every adopter would use that and download from there, that might be a bit too much, especially if we would still keep hosting the proxy also, the one that proxies the open dev. But yeah, for building the pipeline and these things, we are like 98% there. We just have to convert it to OCI and push it. That's all.
Cool. Any other opinions on that?
On that one, I also agree that having them as OCI would be really, really nice, because it also brings a single way to mirror all the artifacts for Metalcube, be it the images or the IPA artifacts. It will all be just replicates a namespace or of a registry, so it make it easier for replication or even for distribution of derivatives, because everything is in the same format. And I agree that what you say, that for the limitations we may be able to get around them, whatever the way we want to get around them. So I don't think we should see this as a real limitation, I would say.
Yeah, and I also talked to Julia, who introduced this feature, and she was like, "This is just the way it was implemented initially. If we wanted to implement it differently, we can talk about it." And for example, I have already rewritten the entire support for key.io in Ironic, and making it much more robust. So we don't have any like ideological objections to things like, I don't know, tag names and stuff. It's just the first implementation is just like this.
I'm just reading what Adam is writing now in terms of having different IPA flavors, and I had already a question, but like this is even. So are we considering actually like building and releasing official Metalcube IPA images, or are we talking just like support for testing or CI or stuff like that?
I'm very explicit talking about production case, not just CI, and also I want to unify again the CI and production cases, because now they're diverging. The CI case is using Artifactory and production still uses Tarball OpenDev work. So I'm talking about all consumers of MetalCube, except for downstream weirdos like us. As to building, yes, essentially the next question was, do we build API? And Adam says we already build it, or at least we have a capability of building it, so it maybe makes sense. But that's kind of a technical detail. We could take Darbo's OpenDev fork and just publish it as it way it is. We could start building API. I'm open to opinions here. We'll probably start with just republishing the thing, but we may quickly find out. For example, if we want to support an M state, just as an example, we may have to diverge from upstream image and have some plugin that understands an M state by default, just as an example. Not suggesting that, but that's a possibility.
Yeah, I'm also on the opinion that we would be better off if we would have our official like MetaCube IPA images, because there might be things that we will need that the Ironic upstream does not need, and the other way around. I think IPA is the strongest or the most functional if it's purpose built. So I would say that yeah, we would need our own IPA. Seeing folks are still commenting, we can take our time here. Any other comments, questions?
Oh yeah, just a note again on the different flavors. Sorry if I insist on this. Even in the past, I kind of like I probably sounded scared about having multiple, like a lot of different flavors, just because it requires a lot of maintenance effort. So yeah, I would just like, if we're going into like different OS direction, probably we should align with what we have, at least for starting, with what we have in Ironic upstream. So Debian and CentOS, and then if people wants to add more stuff and they are like willing to maintain that, because I honestly I don't have a lot of experience with SUSE, so if we can find someone who want to maintain the SUSE image, yeah, why not? But for Debian and CentOS, no problem at all.
I'd even say we as an upstream starts with one of these, not either CentOS or Debian, not both of them. We just devise a naming schema for artifacts in a way that allows for more distribution so that we don't end up renaming things later. But yeah, that's my thought. If SUSE folks actually want to maintain their variant upstream, that opens a possibility. Just we only need a maintainer.
Like as one more note on these, upstream in Ironic, we're currently going into a migration from having only disk image builder based IPA RAM disks, even for CI. And we are actually switching from CentOS to Debian based for that. Because we just realized that this, like for different reasons, I'm not going into much details there. So yeah, I agree we should probably stick with one at least to start, and probably that should be Debian.
Yeah, I'm fine with Debian. I think on our side we are fine with it. We also, as I said, we build it now with CentOS and built it with different CentOS versions in the MetaCube community pipeline. But we also in downstream support, we did build it with other distros, so we have quite experience with this too. I'm fine with building on Debian. Yeah, I'm just wondering what side effects we could see from Debian. From one perspective is that, as far as I know, Debian is by default not including drivers that are not like compatible with their licensing, unlike Ubuntu or others who have a wider range of drivers. Do you foresee, based on your experience in the upstream, issues with real hardware when it comes to running inspection with like Debian? or any other hardware incompatibilities. Because I have run into these incompatibilities in provisioning, in inspection, time to time, even with like enterprise-based IPAs of different organizations, just because a kernel didn't include the latest of the latest Intel network card drivers or latest of the latest RAID controller from an HP machine or stuff like that. So what's your experience with Debian?
Well, it's true that Debian is more, let's say, conservative than other distributions. In my experience, I haven't seen a lot of issues, but I haven't done a lot of tests as well. From what I can say, it's like true that Debian has we can call them limitations in terms of hardware supported, like in different points, depending on when you start adopting. Like we should probably stay on top of the latest releases, which is what we're also trying to do with Ironic Upstream. And by the way, we also need to consider the fact that yes, we are going to publish the images, but we cannot cover 100% of the hardware out there on anything. So it's probably also up to the final user to, like, we can provide guidelines to customize the images or to add different hardware support, like in terms of drivers, for example, like recompiling. But yeah.
Yeah, I think if we start, I agree with you. Okay, that's fine. I also don't think it's our responsibility to fix everyone's hardware compatibility downstream, as we don't do it right now, and we don't plan to do it. I was just thinking that in general, what was the experience? But if you have not run into like major problems with Debian, then it's fine. I'm personally like a fan of the project, so I'm not saying that because I don't want Debian, just making sure. Okay, and then you are aiming towards then Debian stable. That has quite a unique release cycle. They release when they are ready, and then they feel ready. How does that fit with the much more dynamic release cycle of like the like the Kubernetes world? Because in Kubernetes world and in Kepi and in our like side of the woods, we are releasing quite quickly, and we are dropping support quite quickly.
Yeah, that's true actually, and I have two things to say about that. The first one is that we have kind of a very good relationship with Debian on the Ironic Upstream. We have actually a person that I'm not saying like that is kind of dedicated to building and rebuilding Ironic packages for Debian that often participates to the discussions in Ironic, specifically related to packaging for Debian. So that's something that we can count on. And the second thing, yeah, like talking about the stable, unstable, latest stable, whatever. I actually thinking that we could have a look at building also unstable, like building, IPA RAM disks using unstable Debian, but maybe not guarantee working. Also because you need to consider that it's true that Debian is conservative on the kernel side in terms of hardware support, but is way less conservative on the Python support. Usually they are very they support like the latest version of Python, meaning, for example, in this case, I think it's 3.13, if I'm not mistaken, which is way beyond other distributions. So yeah, we could consider having some kind of parallel in terms of stable and maybe testing and see if we can make them work.
Yeah, okay.
I've got a couple of thoughts I wanted to share. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, so in terms of potential problems, I don't have heaps of experience with Debian, but when I tried flavors of Debian, if anything wouldn't work, it'd probably be NICs and fiber channel cards, as you mentioned. But yeah, overall, like probably because Debian are a bit more careful not to ship proprietary firmware and things like that, I think that's like an increased risk. I don't think it's a big one, but like if someone asks me what can go wrong with Debian, on modern server hardware with fast NICs, probably drivers might be an issue. So yeah, that's the only thought I have. But again, that's not to discourage use of Debian. And my second thought, if we can afford maintaining it, I think there is some value in having, for example, CentOS and Debian options, because what we see in CI at times is there is some change in the base OS that breaks us, repos being down, a breaking change or something like that. And if we use two different operating systems side by side, it's kind of clear whether we broke something or whether the base OS broke us. So I think if we can afford it for that reason alone, it's very valuable. Just my point of view.
Yeah, that I agree with. That actually is a good point. That if we have two versions, we see what we if we broke something or the upstream, and because we run into this from time to time with the node images when we are testing in CI. So that's a good point.
Yeah, the conundrum would be to actually test both images on the CI, because, for example, in the Ironic CI, we can no longer afford running CentOS images because they're huge, not in all cases at least. If we can afford testing both images, for example, into different flavors of integration jobs or anyhow, I guess could work.
Yeah. So when it comes to CI resources, we are very well positioned. We have the whole CNCF support in that sense. So we have the runners from CNCF in GitHub, which is like quite a lot of these resources. But other than that, we can, right now for the Nordics Jenkins that also handles the MetaCube CI, we have quite a lot of resources. So I don't think this would be a problem. So we are talking about hundreds and hundreds of CPU cores that we have.
Luxury. It's probably one more reason to build our own images, because I anticipate that the Ironic community will stop building CentOS images at some point. Not stop supporting them, but stop building them by default. Because we are in much tighter situation in OpenDev. So do we have sort of an idea of an agreement? Of course, it's going to require a design proposal. I probably write it at some point, unless somebody beats me to it. Or some sort of artifact. I'm not sure if our formal design proposal actually suits here, but some writing.
Yeah, it's probably something along the lines of what we have for support, like the support document. So we would explain that, like what we have in the CI, what the community has. I don't think we have an overall CI document where we would have everything listed. So I would guess it would be part of what we have about support, and then we would say that given version, or like we have these charts where we say what is released with what and what is tested with what versions. We would just append it with our own IPA flavors and version. So when we say that this is BMO 011 with CapM3 1.11 and Ironic, I don't know, 31 plus MetaCube IPA version this and this, or build this and this, and then That's it. That's how I see it, that what we should propose. And then the CI implementation side, that will be up to whoever implements it. As I said, like we have to decide if we want this to be built on GitHub runners, or do we want to build it on the Nordics, Jenkins, or like where this periodic jobs will live. Will there be only periodics, or will we allow calling these as PR tests, these IPA builds? Probably not. So there are a lot of technical details that we have to iron out, but I think initially we just build one or both flavor eventually, because I agree with the fact that we should have two flavors, just like node images. And then we will see how we can utilize them further. But that's my idea here.
Right. I can try writing this down. I think we might have some sort of repository which allows pinning ironic Python agent version, similar to how we now pin ironic version, but that's technical details. I'll give them some thought maybe later on.
Yeah, I will for reference, because I'm not just like we already have things in place, so it might be better if I point them out. So and if someone, because I cannot now change tabs, I don't want that. I have 1 billion things open. Please, folks who know where is the IPA builder in the project info, please link it in this comment. Because we have already like the deep based or IPA builder based whole script and the elements and everything within the MetaQ project, within project infra, with the pipelines and everything. So it's better to look at them first, because I am certain that we can, in the wrapper script, we can pin IPA source versions. I am building IPA from IPA source code on a daily basis for my own work, so it's there. We can pin.
Right, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely need to take that, maybe move it to a rep of its own. Maybe not. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, I will add it here later. No, I won't change Windows. Okay. Okay, that was quite a big discussion, and I think kind of the verdict is that okay, we are okay with building it. And hosting on Quay. Okay. We can start with one flavor, but at least as far as I looked in this room and from our side, and then Jakob mentioned his idea. Some of us think that two flavor would be preferable, or Debian and SUSE. Whatever at the end we will decide, but we can start with Debian.
We need to solve this problem about shim certificates. We kind of have, again, an idea of a proposal, just a few bullet points above. If we scroll just a bit up there here.
The shim, the matching. Yeah, okay.
So to echo as Nicholas said previously, for secure boot to even work, the shim, which is part of ironic image, has to recognize a certificate of the kernel, which is part of IPA, so the IPA image. And once we start providing different flavors, these things will stop matching. So the idea that I'm stealing from Nicholas again is to update IPA downloader to know that logic. So kind of IPA downloader will probably have binaries for all supported flavors. rough idea again, and then it'll copy them over into Ironic image instead of Ironic image building shim and grab images into itself. Any thoughts on this? Again, we can discuss separately, but anyone has more thoughts?
Yeah, on this, my idea was more like to have currently the IPA builder output is kernel plus initramfs, and maybe we could have it be the output be kernel initramfs and whatever other binaries are needed for boot. So basically, whatever is needed to build the EFI partition. We could have the directly the EFI partition, but I don't think it would be okay for Pixie boot. So maybe we need the binaries themselves. But basically, it would be to have more outputs for the IPA builder and use them and distribute them in the same table or the same image or whatever we use to distribute the IPA binaries. But then this way we can have either IPA downloader or maybe even directly Ironic, if that's a thing, to download all these artifacts and directly get them from there without having to have a big IPA downloader image that has all the existing shim versions or anything.
Yeah, you're making a great point. I will incorporate some shape of this into my proposal. Yeah, any more thoughts on this?
Looks like not. It's quite long read. I think folks need time to digest everything that was said here, but very good discussion. And I think we have action points to deal with, both for IPA downloader and the shim and the EFI part, and also for the hosting and building and supporting the flavors and the versions of IPA on our side. But I think then this is a decision. So we will start building out these IPAs and pushing them initially with some like test purpose, but then we will see how it goes. But this will be the direction we are moving. So this is decision unless someone has a problem with that. And we can discuss it, but separately, because we have to continue. Because the next topic is from Sunat, related to the substate proposal. That's mostly Dimitri's original proposal that Sunat, you took a look, and then you have questions and
Yeah.
things to discuss.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it starts as like to improve the granularity work like from the beginning. So we started like the copy did the way, and we also followed in the capillary. So we show more granular step in which state of the machine is. So I wanted to implement that in the BMH as well, but like Dimitri already had a very good proposal, and some of the questions are already solved actually during this meeting. So he replied with a chat. My idea was like to give more granular step on the BMH side. So even in the like the kubectl get cable. So, but I realized that it might be a bit tricky because how we can like the convert and which step the ironic is like is deploying in which step it would be difficult, but we can do it in the substates like as Dimitri said. But the only issue that I have is the progress part now. So do we need to actually give this progress in the status step.
I mean, why not? Convenient for humans. Even if it's going to be a bit of like Windows Explorer progress where you go from 0 to 80 in 1 second and 80 to 100 in 5 minutes. I don't know. I don't insist on this part. I just thought it could be handy. I think the activity part is the most interesting though.
Yeah, activity part is like let's discuss for the progress part. It feels like I don't know, like does it have some kind of confusion, or like will it bring some kind of user might expect like the speed of the progress might be very different during the. So the progress can be understandable like the speed of the implementation. So it might go like very fast, and then it might stay in that percentage for a long time and goes like that. So this is the concern. I don't know like how much it is relevant, but
I remembered why I did the progress thing. The reason I did that is because from just a textual description, it's not clear how many steps are still in the future, right? If Adam, maybe you could could open the link I pasted just below this one, and scroll down, go a bit more down.
There's
The
30%.
deploying part, yeah, the deploying thingy, right? The idea was, okay, I am at state of preparing to write image. How far am I from finishing that? So I was kind of trying to put a number against it to understand, for user to understand, it is like the last step, the first step, are we in the middle?
I think showing that, or giving some signal to the user that, okay, we're at the beginning of the whole process or in the middle or close to the end is a good idea. But showing it with the percentage might give some confusion, because if I see some percentage, then if I see 50%, the first question would be, what does this mean? Then I have to find out from the documentation, okay, 50% represents this, or 60% is represents this. And then I have to do the mapping as a user manually. That's kind of my, I don't know, from the user experience perspective, how much of progress does it add, but knowing where you are roughly is a good idea. But showing it with the percentage, I'm not fully sure, to be honest.
I can skip this part if it's contentious, to be honest. I think the most important thing is to have textual description, and maybe it's just a matter of documenting how things work and which steps they go through.
Yeah, I was also. Yeah, go on, please.
Could it be
saying that maybe we could have something like 3 by 5 steps completed, like 3 out of 5. So
That's the same
Yeah.
as percentage.
like that.
That's 60%, right? And the problem is if
Yeah.
it only works if you know the precise number of steps.
Something I wanted to add is I think with percent people tend to kind of think it's linear. Well, if you put steps, I don't know, at least for me, it's easier to understand that different steps might take different lengths of time. Just an observation, right? But again, it just might be me.
I'm wondering that, like these steps coming from the deployment step, cleanup steps, and they all have priority order. And then instead of percentage, what I'm thinking, it might be better if we show a history with the time, that how much time it took, so that we would have a list and we have the current. Of course, that was part of the proposal already, that we display what's the current step, step or substate or whatever. And then, but we would also show the ones that we have already completed with the timestamp. So let's say I don't know, like some we already with like step, we would show that we completed the EFI cleanup and disk write and all these things that are steps in the IPA, and it took X amount of time, and we are currently on given step, and then these steps are the remaining steps, because that's more or less that's how it is visible inside the ironic logs and the IPA logs. We always have a list that shows the remaining steps, and we also display it that which step we are executing and which step we have completed. But IPA and ironic does track the remaining steps, so we have that information. I'm wondering if that would be something that we would go towards.
That's an interesting idea.
Mm.
I don't know if we can always rely on the exact list of steps available.
Yeah.
Because, for example, for cleaning, generally when steps are coming from Ironic Python agent, Ironic needs to boot it first to know the exact list of steps. So there will be points at which you have an incomplete list of future steps. That has to be kept in mind.
But I think that's generally true everywhere in the Ironic IPA ecosystem, because I can write a plugin to Ironic and introduce new steps, and I can write plugin and introduce new steps in the IPA. So because those are made in a way that they are like frameworks that we can extend, we never know how much steps we will execute until Ironic has collected the list of steps and booted IPA and has basically the whole like execution task list ready. That's the moment when we know anyways.
True. If we can accept that the list of future steps is going to be dynamic, so it's not like determined and completely static, it's just something that changes, that could be an interesting thing.
I am on the opinion that we should from the beginning plan this to be exposing that dynamic list of steps we are executing. I don't really want to overlay an abstraction on top of those or limit the number of those, because I think one of our very like powerful feature because of Ironic and IPA is that we can customize the like the provisioning workflow on the low levels with plugins and drivers and whatnot. And how they are called, hardware managers or whatever.
Right. In which case, I'd probably design it in a way that both provides an Ironic step name, like deploy.prepare instance boot, and some human-friendly description if available, like the examples in the design. So kind of two fields, name, description, and finished at for steps that have already been finished. It started at and finished at. Just kind of.
Yeah, please go ahead. Just wanted to say that so we now just we will also bubble up the exact ironic step which is going on, right?
Yeah,
that was my next question I wanted to discuss, and we already have agreed on that. That's great. And Dmitry was saying that we will give also some human readable description like that you already write in the proposal, like the activity names.
Yep.
In that case, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are on the same page as I'm seeing what Dimitri is writing and what we have been discussing here. Yeah, I see what you are writing, Dimitri. I agree. I would like to see something like that, exactly.
Okay, that sounds fun.
That's great. Yeah.
Then we can drop the progress into this instead. If anyone wants to update the proposal, I'll be happy to review it.
I can.
Yeah, let's also take a look at things like firmware upgrades. I can help you with figuring out what needs to be done. There are more steps now to cover. But I think if we encounter a step we don't know, we just put a description of, I don't know, running step, or even skip the description if we don't have a description.
Yeah, I mean, like, but we can actually get a step name, right?
Yes.
That would be already good. So not everything needs to be a human video, like the activity name. So.
Yeah, but in general, I think like the default step names and descriptions and those things are very human readable. The if someone is extending IPA or ironic, then it's their job to come up with descriptive names and stuff. So I'm not worrying about that.
Great, yeah. I'm glad that we have we are on the all are on the same page. Thank you for the discussion.
May I make a remark maybe at odds with the proposal? Is that for automation, it could be nice to have regular conditions at the level of bare metal host that express that we are trying to reach something and that as reason that we are at the given state. So that we could use tools that understand standard Kubernetes conditions.
You're suggesting to use like the
Because everything in the KP world and Kubernetes world use conditions to express where you are in state machine. So both, yes, please. I agree with both.
Yeah, I see your point. But like, yeah, I see. And we need to like, okay, so we will have a condition of this inspecting, and so we need to come up with it, like to make it like a really copy way of, or like Kubernetes way of these conditions.
Yeah, we can have, I think, because if we have already bubbled up all this step and substate information, then we can display that in some way in like condition. Like at that point, that's more of a monitoring plus I don't know, observability thing. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
But the hard thing will be if we start thinking about conditions is that as we discussed for these steps and steps or substates, whatever we call them, that they are dynamic by nature. So I'm not an expert in this. There are folks here in the call and in the room who more familiar with it, but is it okay to have a dynamic value for a condition? Or does it need to be like a fixed set, like an enum of different possible?
The condition clearly must be fixed, but the set of reasons, I don't think there's a limitation on it.
As far as that.
And reason express more where you are in the state machine.
Yeah.
The condition being rather than something like provisioned, available, cleaned.
I'm not mistaken, I think we need to actually anyhow put this in the bare metal host API as the condition type. So yeah, that might require to have some predefined conditions. But I mean,
as far as that, like we use also in the CAPM 3 and in also CAPI all predefined reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
Well.
Yeah.
So it would be a bit, and also like with the condition, I really like I cannot right now come up with how we can do this, like started and stop, like started when it started and when it's changing. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I see like comments from Dimitri and also from Kash that conditions on the API have to be like fixed, not this dynamic. Yeah, but I can propose a not workaround, but a middle ground. The steps in the ironic and IPA, the priority numbers in the IPA and ironic steps or the substates have a meaning of when you run it within like a life cycle operation. So we know that something below 40 it happened after you finished writing an image, and you give them back like the control IPA to ironic to restart, to tear down the agent and restart. So there are meaning in the numbers, and there are like milestones in this like the life cycle of like the step execution. So we can do conditions like provisioning, out of band, provisioning, agent steps, provisioning, agent steps finished, or like we can put these milestones into conditions.
You mean that we would then have to have some sort of a mapping of some of these substates to one of those conditions?
Basically, we would when we get the information from Ironic about these steps, so that we can display the substate, we can get the priority number of the step, and then those numbers, if they reach as they go in a descending order, as they reach a certain number or go below a threshold, we can put that into a condition.
Folks,
Yeah.
I'm not sure we are really being asked to have such level of granularity in the conditions. Pierre, correct me if I'm wrong. Because I think we are mixing the discussions a bit, and what we're designing with substates is to a great degree informative. It's like, as an operator, I want to know what is going on by looking at the bare metal host, instead of having to go do bare metal node list in Ironic. With conditions, we enable integration with tooling. So it's more like, I need to wait, for example, for a certain thing, right? If we have conditions, it's very easy to do kubectl wait. It's actually possible now. You can wait for a subfield and status, but it's much more natural to wait for a condition. It's very well integrated. But I don't think people are going to kubectl wait on a half of provisioning. That's odd to me. I think people really want to wait on the provisioning to be finished, inspection to be finished. Like, I think the granularity of conditions should be on the level of current provision states, while the substates is a bit of a separate work. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. It feels like we shouldn't be necessarily mix this up.
I agree. Yeah. I think we should probably, I don't know if separate is the right word, but I agree with your point.
Yeah, I see. Like this is the typical situation where these conditions in this granularity would be useful for like 5% of the whole adopter base. I wouldn't say that there are no people who would do such things to wait for a bright image finishing, or the out of band or operations to finish or whatever. People want everything like users, so I wouldn't be surprised. But I would say that I would still think about what we can achieve, and not limit this. If it's possible to achieve this granularity, then we should, in my opinion, plan with that, because there will be a time when, for some business reasons in the world, someone starts needing it, and at one moment everyone will need it. I don't know. So I'm just thinking in like what we can achieve with this, but I guess anyways the first thing to achieve is to have these substates. That's the base of everything, and after that we can start thinking on how to use, if we want to use them with the conditions.
Yeah, I would vote for leaving conditions and this out like separately.
Yeah.
Okay, I see, Dimitri, you are still typing. Is there anyone who has not expressed ideas about this and would like to. But I think we are in general on the same page, and thanks to Pierre's comment, we have even expanded into a topic that we haven't even thought before. So it was very fruitful. Thank you. So anyone, or can we continue? We have 15 minutes plus I booked 15 additional minutes, so we have technically half an hour still to go forward. I don't think we need a break if we have not taken a break so far. Then I don't think we should now. So can we continue with the next one? Is there anyone who would like to stay on this? Let me check quickly the messages because I was focusing on the discussion so much. Yeah. I feel. Yeah. Okay, I think the folks in the chat have answered each other's questions. Good, thank you. Okay, let's continue with the next one. Okay, this was from me. That it's just an idea because I just heard about the news and info that was coming out from the KubeCon North America just a week ago or week and a half or when it was. And then I heard this new initiative that so far in the CNCF there was already a program to accredit and certify Kubernetes platform and installers and platform providers and whatnot. But now there is a new program to certify the same providers, but on like AI conformance. And they have, and how this works, I linked GitHub link there, just not displayed as a link, but there is a project on GitHub that basically has like a template, and the project has to fill out if they conform, like a self-assessment, that whether they conform with that or not. And one of the criteria to be an accredited certified AI ready platform in the eyes of the CNCF is that you have this dynamic resource allocation support. I know that this dynamic resource allocation in practice happens when you deploy a workload and you have some sort of controllers that will help your workload to allocate the proper resources, get you scheduled on a node that has a GPU, DPU, whatever, FPGA, magic you are using. But I was thinking that we also collect hardware information quite a lot. And we can, as we discussed with plugins and whatnot, extend it so we can basically collect whatever. Can we somehow turn that into information that can have this dynamic resource allocation? Because if we could just provide like gather all the information during inspection and bubble it up somehow, would it be possible to then, based on that, label the nodes in the target cluster and basically do the groundwork so that folks who are deploying applications would not need to deploy services to discover hardware capability on the target clusters. So we would do it already in our area and just give them ready to use information. I don't know what's your opinion about this. Have anyone meddled with this DRA or?
I already worked with DRA in the past, and the main thing about DRA is more about using the resources. Like really, if you take all the GPU operators there, they basically not just exposes the GPU as a resource of the node. They really do all the stuff so that when a workload asks for that GPU, it gets included into that all the C groups and all the kubelet work is done so that the containers have access to that GPU and that they have the correct memory amount, that the GPU is well configured and so on. So I'm not sure goes into the scope of MetalCube to do something like the array is doing. I would guess that the best it could do is give a hint that you may need to deploy that specific operator. Like, for example, if we detect an NVIDIA GPU, we may be able to tell, oh, you should deploy the NVIDIA GPU operator if you want to benefit from that. But I'm not sure we could be doing any more than that, considering the amount of complexity there is in the provisioning for the array.
Okay, but I was exactly thinking about stuff like this. So if we could have with these sort of things, as you mentioned, that okay, we detect hardware capabilities, and then we can give this information that you might need to deploy stuff that supports it for the array. That sounds useful to me, especially at certain scale. And yeah, I was just thinking about that, but maybe we might need a working group to, or maybe we can put it under the AI working group to kind of start looking into what we could help with this platform, AI ready platform conformance thing, because for me what you said already sounds useful. It might be a lot of work. That's what I don't know. I don't know how much work it would be, and how easy would it be to basically transfer this information from our level into the target clusters, because from MetaCube perspective, we have zero control on what happens inside the target cluster after it's provisioned. Maybe yeah, we are really not well positioned, but I don't know.
But I think if so, in my opinion, the array and the MetalCube are two like orthogonal things.
Mhm.
They are like they do not meant for the same thing, or they are in different areas. But if you are talking now about exposing the hardware feature to the cluster,
Mhm.
I think there are already projects that people are using. There's this node feature discovery,
Mhm.
which you just deploy as a Kubernetes application, and it exposes everything as a labels. It could be taint, it could be annotation. So in that sense, yeah, it exposes quite a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
It goes deep into even the architecture, like the CPU instructions. So like I've shown once. So in that sense, like how much of benefit would it create to redo the same while there are already solutions that do that
Yeah.
similar stuff?
Yeah, basically that's my question, that would it be beneficial to, let's say, just like theoretically, like let's say we inspect, we bubble this information up in a format that would be like digestible by, let's say, that project that you mentioned, so that they wouldn't need to actually run that on the actual nodes. You see, like we would take the load from these other projects that right now has to be deployed on the target cluster, so that they go into the node, look around, report it back. But I feel it is a duplicate operation, because we also go into the nodes and look into all these things.
So the benefit of using NFD, so when do you use that? So it's during the scheduling. So you have 100 machines. Some of them have, let's say, certain type of the disk or the architecture. And then when you're deploying your workload, you're saying, I want to deploy this workload on the machine that has this kernel version, whatever, right? And then it deploys. So it's used during the scheduling process. But if you export it, like you said, from the ironics perspective, so you expose it, but then the question is, where do you want to use that information, or where do you expect users to use, like during what process? Is it during the scheduling of your applications? Because Kubernetes, like MetalCube, is about the nodes, know the application
Yes.
that are running on top of them. So like, is there benefit of knowing hardware features at the metal cube level? Like, what would be the use case?
No. On the MetaCube
No.
level, there is no benefit. But I'm exactly saying that if we collected all this information, I would like to hand it over or if I don't hand it over, let's say I want to then label the nodes so that it doesn't need to be done by another process. Like if your scheduling is based on that, I schedule on nodes labeled GPU, then you can already do it. I know, like from MetaCube would say, I know that who has the GPU. You don't have to figure it out. It is like which nodes have that. You know what I'm saying? I basically want to provide all this information to labeling or whatever the scheduler looks in, because I already know those things.
To me, it would be more of a use if at like the CAPI level, like to be able to say, oh, I want to deploy a set of a cluster that has, I don't know, a set number of access to this accelerator or something, and this would be where it could, I would say, shine to have this kind of discovery, so that you could be able to say, I want a cluster with this kind of nodes, and it would select using this information from the. It would select the correct bare metal host from this information, but that's something that can get very complicated because there's a lot to this, and I don't think we for the other subject of using it for at the like labeling the nodes in the downstream cluster. I think it's kind of I don't think we want to re-implement all the logic that node feature discovery or other specialized operators have for that. So I'm not sure it would be beneficial to handle that.
Yeah, I agree with you that it wouldn't be beneficial to implement, but okay, let's think, because you mentioned CAPI also, and I completely agree that that's a very good use case you mentioned for the CAPI, especially useful because I see that there is some project that is using CAPI and composing clusters dynamically based on like needs, it starts with a K. I don't remember the name. It's a Red Hat project, I noticed. But if there are needs coming for those, or there is a need for those projects and this DRA, I think we can already help on this cluster composition side. But what I was thinking on the target nodes is that let's then think about like cross project like work. There is this node hardware discovery you folks mentioned, feature discovery. Then what if like what we inspected, we could give it to this tool, like our inspection data. Let's say me or someone would go to that project and say that I am willing to write you a driver to parse ironic inspection data.
The first question I would have is that why would NFT? Because if you look at the NFT, it has these libraries that it depends for different components, like for the memory, for the CPU, and it's built-in features. So it's not like a pluggable component that you can say, okay, I want to fetch CPU instructions from this plugin or components. It's like built-in into the NFT itself. You just deploy it as a daemon set. It just runs, scans the node, fetches all the information that you need, and exposes it in a way that you want. And it goes quite deep. Like there are more than 10,000 labels that it can generate. So in that sense, like I'm not sure like why would they want to consume some label. So usually what happens in the NFT is that some people come and say, okay, there is this new component that NFT is not exposing. Let's expand it, and then maybe if in that case, if there is some label that or some feature that NFT cannot currently discover and export, then it would be easy to convince, hey, Ironic can do it, or and then let's consume it from the Ironic. But otherwise, I'm not sure if there would be some good reason to do it from external components like Ironic.
But then the output of the NFD is labeling them, right?
Label, annotation, tint, or it could be like a JSON, like on the terminal, there are different variations. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think then I have a more clearer picture. I think on the copy side, what Nicholas mentioned is already good, something that worth looking into. If we could help copy allocate nodes into a cluster based on that information, that would be helpful. But then I will on my time look into this if we could do something with the labeling and such. Okay. Anyone? Any other comment, question? Okay, then I think we have our last topic that got alike is the VBM CTL improvements, and then this is.
I think we lost Leonard to another meeting, so I really wonder if we should maybe schedule another 1 or 2 hours in a couple of weeks to go through the final points, because there are 3 items from Leonard and he just drops.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we need to schedule separate or if we can fit these his topics, or at least this one topic on the community meetings.
Could be.
Because I think booking the next, I was looking into the calendar and how it goes. We will have people already on PTO in whole December and some conferences and whatnot. So I don't think from our side December or even second part of November or second. We are already in the second part. So this year I don't really see a good time.
It sounds like we can discuss it like.
Because my topic we can skip that, like the nested child node support. I would anyway need to write a proposal for that or someone to discuss that, and then the BMOE2E and the VBM CTL are more like development and CI things, so we could one by one discuss them on community meeting if there is no one against those.
We can collect quick start pain points from the audience just for the future discussion if there are any. I think also Leonard summarized most of them pretty well.
Yeah, if you have anything that we could add here, we can.
Starting with the fact it's terribly outdated, it doesn't work at all.
Yeah, I think we even received that as a comment on the repo in an issue that it doesn't work. So I think we are on the same page about that. Anyone? I will add your comment anyways. Okay, but if there are no more like pain points that folks would like to bring up right now, then I don't think there is a point in discussing this. Then this will be the topic we will discuss on next community meeting as one of the agenda points next week. And maybe the other one if we get time. Okay, if there is no other questions or comments or anything that you would like to bring up related to the MTM, then this is the end of the meeting. Feel free to reach out to me or to anyone participating in the meeting in email or on Slack. Please keep in mind that we have a few GitHub discussions, topics and proposals that we have to make. So please execute on the action points if you have time And then we will go forward as usual with the community meetings. I will send out mails about how the December and the New Year will go. I might won't be able to facilitate all the community meetings in the late December, early January time, but we will discuss that on Slack. But otherwise, I think we will continue with the business as usual. And thank you for joining today, and thank you for the great discussions. I think these were one of the best discussions on any of the MTMs so far, and it was very fruitful. But I think we also have to drop. We have other meetings. So thank you all for joining today,
Thank you
and
very
have a
much.
nice rest of the
Thank
day.
you very
Bye-bye.
much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
folks.
everyone.
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
There is another.